What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay Floyd, and welcome to another episode of the Big Bro Show. What's happening, man? Welcome to the family room. Come in and chill with me, man. Listen, this one, I wasn't really scheduled to do another show until tomorrow, but I watched this movie, and I started. I was trying to tell my wife. Try to tell my wife about it, since she's got the podcast where she reviews movies. We discuss a lot of things in depth, how we felt, what we saw. And I just started going, and then she was like, you got so much passion on this one, man. Maybe you need to do an episode of the Big Bro Show about this. And I was like, you know what? Yeah. So this one is like bottled up energy, man. This is fresh. I just watched One Night in Miami, man. One Night in Miami. Listen, it is on Amazon Video. I'm telling you, I recommend everybody go out and watch this. Everybody go support this. Please support this. It's a great movie, and I will tell you a couple of reasons why right after we do a little bit of housekeeping. First of all, thank you for joining me again, man. Thank you to all of my subscribers. The number is creeping up even more. I had a few new subscribers this week. I love y'all, man. I'm glad that y'all could resonate. I got some notes, man. I got a couple of people in LinkedIn. I heard from some people in LinkedIn. They were like, hey, we heard your content, man. We saw your podcast content, specifically on the stuff that happened in the Capitol, on the insurgents that happened in the Capitol. We really love what you were doing, man. We really love the perspective and the take that you had. Please keep doing good work, man. We support you. Where can I hear more? So that's what's up, man. These were people that are not even in the audience that I target. You know what I mean? These are not even people in the audience that I target. But you know what? My audience is my family, man. Anybody who my words resonate with, we all family. And that's what's up, man. Thank you for your words. Thank you for your messages. Please go out, click like and subscribe to this video real quick. You know what I mean? Stop what you're doing right now. If you have not subscribed to this channel, I suggest you subscribe right now. That way, whenever I post new content, you get notified. And click that bell, man. Bing! Click the bell, man. Hit the bell. That way you get notified whenever I upload a new podcast episode, any kind of new content. You will be the first one to know it. It kind of be like you in a membership club. Also, look down in the description box and click on the links to my sponsors, man. I got really dope sponsors. I really was careful and selective about who I was working with. Number one, this is January. Coming up real soon is February. Y'all know it's Black History Month, but y'all know Black History should be all the time and for everybody, right? So number one, Urban Intellectuals, man. They specialize in Black History flashcards, man. Things that you didn't even know you needed. Your children and you, man. Get these flashcards and keep your education up on exactly what's going on in Black history, man, to know how important it is. And that's, it goes out for every age. It goes out for every race. I think that one of the keys to us getting to where we need to go in this world and in this society is for us to see the beautiful color in all of us, and us to see our history and to see how beautiful our heritage is and our contribution to this entire fabric of this nation, because we all have it. We all have it, whether you're African or African American, whether you're European, I don't care if you're Scottish, British, it doesn't matter. Listen, a lot of people from a lot of legacies all over the world, we're all God's people, and we come together to make the fabric of our lands. So the more we can look at that and respect it, don't give me that I don't see color. Listen to me, anybody out there, and I know I get a lot of people, man, who are really progressive, who are really anti-racist, I love that. Keep doing that. But listen, don't go around saying, I don't see color. That's a cop-out. You got to see the color. See all the color. If you meet me, talk to me about the color you see. Ask me about what it's like to be a black man from the Midwest, whose parents came from the South, who obviously gets premature gray. You know what I'm saying? Talk to me about that. And I want to talk to you about wherever you come from and whatever your family heritage may be and all the beauty that God painted on you, right? So listen, go out and look at Urban Intellectuals, man. Get those Black History flashcards and learn a little bit more about my people, man. Because trust me, it's not just MLK. It's not just the typical people that you see every day. It's not just George Washington Carver. It's going to be some things you didn't even know, some things I didn't even know, right? Secondarily, man, get your beard game popping. Yeah, see, I got my rubber brush right now, man. You got to get the rubber brush. This bad boy goes through it gently. Gets it nice and fluffy, man. Get your beard game popping, man. Head out to the Black Gentleman Grooming Company, man, and get you some balms, some oils, your brushes, your combs, all of that, man. And also stay hydrated. Don't listen to that most interesting man when he says stay thirsty, my friends. Stay thirsty, my friend. Nah, don't stay thirsty, man. You know what people say when you're thirsty, man. Stay hydrated. hydrate, man. Keep your skin nice. Keep your kidneys flushed. Get you some black water, man, with fulvic minerals, all of the vitamins. Get that going on, man. All right, let's get into what I wanted to talk about. I watched last night on the first day that it came out, man. One Night in Miami. Listen, One Night in Miami is the directorial debut of Regina King, right? It's a beautiful story. It involves the night that Cassius Clay, and I say Cassius Clay because at the time it was 1964, February 25th, 1964 to be exact. At the time, he was still Cassius Clay, and it was the night that he won the World Heavyweight Championship from Sonny Liston, where he knocked him out, and he was like, I shook up the world! I shook up the world! That night, right? So the movie revolves around Cassius Clay, Malcolm X, Sam Cooke, and Jim Brown in this hotel room for the good, man. The play was written by a man named Kemp Powers, so you can go check him out if you want. The reason I really felt so passionate about this movie, man, after I watched it, my energy was buzzing for hours, right? And I want to run through a couple of reasons why this movie hit me the way that it did, right? And particularly in a big bro way, and what we talk about in our culture, in our family, and ways that we can grow, right? So first of all, directed by Regina King, right? Regina King from 227, Regina King from Higher Learning, Regina King from Boys in the Hood, Regina King from Watchmen, Regina King from everything, man. She from the Boondocks, Regina King from There's Nothing She Can't Do. There's nothing. I am a through and through, dyed in the wool Regina King fan. Man, this woman is spectacular. So it kind of reminded me of when Denzel Washington made his directorial debut with Antoine Fisher, which was another really great movie that I really enjoyed and had ties to Cleveland. This movie has a couple of ties to Cleveland, Ohio, my hometown, which I'm going to talk about in a second, right? So let's start getting into it, man. Number one, Regina King directed it. So you know she's going to have some callbacks. She's going to have some things that kind of like tie it together to respect Black culture. You know, every time I even envision or hear the name Regina King, the first thing I think is for the culture. She is definitely for Black culture. She always represents, she always holds it down to keep us stronger. I always think about when she did The Watchmen, man, and Dr. Manhattan took the form of a Black dude, and she named the Black dude Calvin. You know what I'm saying? And I know instantly she knew the Black audience was going to call back to 227 and her boyfriend being Calvin. So that was dope, man. And whenever you can drop things like that in there, you know, I'm a really big proponent of doing that, because typically for the Black community and things that are specific to the Black culture, nobody will do that kind of stuff for us, right? You won't get those little nuggets, those little Easter eggs. You won't get a lot of that. So I knew she was going to tie this thing all together really good and respect multiple sides of every character, down to, you know, small details of the character. So I'm going to shout out, number one, the casting. I don't know who the casting agent was, right? I remember reading about this movie a few months ago, and I saw who the characters, I saw, you know, Malcolm X, Cassius Clay, Sam Cooke, Jim Brown, who's going to play these dudes? And I remember scrolling through the pictures, and the pictures I saw was like, I don't know. And even when the movie started, I was like, cringy. But, you know, the reality is you can't find somebody who looks exactly like these people. But what you want to do is find actors who can bring enough range and embodies the key components of that person in this moment, and to make you forget that they may not look exactly like them, right? To embody, you know, like the way Denzel did Malcolm X in X, right? But Denzel don't look nothing like Malcolm X, but he was able to embody him in a way in that moment that made us, you know, there's kids right now growing up who think Malcolm X looks like Denzel Washington face. They don't know the real Malcolm X was a light-skinned 6'5" dude. You know, they don't know that. So I think for casting, they did a really great job, man. But, you know, and let me shout out the cast, man. Jim Brown was played by Aldous Hodge. Malcolm X was played by Kingsley Ben-Adir. Sam Cooke was played by Leslie Odom Jr. in a great way, by the way, because he brought the singing and he sounded so beautiful in there. I mean, he brought the singing and he brought the acting, and for him to also be physically the only non-dominant one, right? Like, you got Malcolm X, who's a tall, imposing figure, and then you got these two world-class athletes. So you got Sam Cooke, who's none of that physically, but he was still able to stand shoulder to shoulder, hairline to hairline with these dudes when it came to bringing the most to his character, right? And also, Cassius Clay was played by Eli Goree. I know I keep saying Cassius Clay instead of Muhammad Ali, but like I said, this is 1964, he was still Cassius Clay, so I think that's key, right? The whole point of the movie is that Malcolm X gets them all to come to his little tiny hotel room, and they basically end up spending the whole night there chopping it up, right? Anybody who doesn't understand what that means, this movie is an exact example of what chopping it up means, right? I want to shout out A Way with Words podcast. I'm a big fan of, because they were the first linguistic podcast to really give a lot of big props to AAVE, African American Vernacular English, right? What's commonly called as Ebonics, but really it's just the way that Black people tend to talk, right? Black people, we're not monolithic, so AAVE contains a little bit of everything. It's a lot of things, right? But it should be respected. It's not just slang. It's not. Don't let, a lot of people, white and black, will fall into that trap of feeling like it's just slang, but it's not, right? It's a respected language. And so one of the key hallmarks of a dialect like AAVE, or African American Vernacular English, is some words that people will see and think grammar Nazis would be like, that's not a word, but it is. And conversate is one of those words. Put it up there because I love this word, conversate, right? Most of America nowadays know this word because Notorious B.I.G. said it in his joint One More Chance, right? Conversate for a few, because in a few we gonna do what we came to do. Ain't that right, boo? I know y'all said it. And shout out to my man Grant Barrett from A Way with Words podcast for standing out there, man, for dying on this hill. Conversate means something slightly different than converse, right? I remember when he was discussing it, I believe he used the example of a barbershop, a black barbershop. People don't converse in a black barbershop. Nah. People don't converse in a black barbershop. They conversate. It's going to be a little more animated. The purpose of the words being conveyed is a little different. It's a little different. It's not to convince you of an argument. It's to convict you. It's to make you feel me. It's to make you feel what I'm saying. It's not to make you agree. It's to make you feel me, right? The conversate is a little different. And that's the reason why it was a back formation that was created, because I think there was just a need for a different word, right? So when I think about conversate, this movie, One Night in Miami, exemplifies exactly what I think of when I think of conversate. Man, the dialogue in this movie, and I love the fact that it was somewhat of a bottle episode kind of movie where it was all handled in basically one area, right? In one tight spot. Everything's there. The tension is high. Every line means something, right? There's no throwaway lines in a movie like this. And I love that, right? You have these characters, these 4 characters, so you can kind of envision, boom, boom, boom. You kind of envision this squared circle like they're in a boxing ring, right? You got these 4 people coming from 4 distinct areas. And if you imagine the 4 corners of a ring, they both go out on the right and left, right? And that's how these characters are. All 4 of them have something on the right, something on the left, right? And they are in somewhat of a tug of war. Each one of these characters is having a little bit of a tug of war, right? You got Sam Cooke. Sam Cooke, who's, they begin the movie by showing him, and Sam Cooke is a love song singer, right? But times are changing. This is the 60s. This is the era of turbulence and upheaval and protest and sit-ins and, things are moving. There's movements, and his music harkens back more to the 50s doo-wop era. He's a love singer. So he's got this thing happening of not only other people's expectations of him, but his own expectations of him, right? It's going to be inside of him too. Kind of diametrically opposed across the ring to Malcolm X, right? Malcolm X, who at this point is well known for being the national speaker of the Nation of Islam, but he's also right in the middle of finding out the things he found out about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, getting ready to step away from the nation. He's been talking to Clay about joining the nation, but he's shaky. He's got the Nation of Islam is protecting him. The Nation of Islam is also gunning for him. They're wary of him, suspicious of him. may believe he's a traitor, especially right after this. So he's stuck in the middle, right? He's got some concerns that he's having a tug of war over. Because of his internal tug of war, he's then having an internal tug of war across the ring with Sam Cooke, and vice versa, right? Then you got Jim Brown. You're talking about the greatest football player of all time, right? You got him towards the end of his career. He's 28 years old. He's trying to figure out, he's got movie offers. He doesn't even want to tell his friends about movies because back then, great athletes didn't really step into the Hollywood. And will a black star be accepted into Hollywood, especially starring with white women co-stars? I mean, anybody who knows Jim Brown's story, then this was the struggle for him. If you're in a world where you're the man, are you going to walk away from that to go into this world where you just might get Jim Crow'd up? So he's, push, pull. And then you got Cassius Clay. He's talking about 22 years old, sitting on top of the world. He's a walking internal struggle, right? He's constantly telling you how great he is. But is he telling you or is he telling himself? Right? He shook up the world. He defeats the champion. He's the new champion. But he wants something more. He wants to redefine it. So he's walking in. He's enveloping and he's wrapping himself up in the Nation of Islam, right? So he's got this, I gotta give up drinking, I gotta give up, I gotta give up eating pork, am I gonna regret this? So you got all four of these guys in four corners being pushed and pulled, tug of war internally, then start to have tug of wars with each other. I loved it, because you know what? That's real life. And they conversate, they hash it out. They get all what I call all the way funky. Because sometimes you got to hash it out. Sometimes you got to have the conversation. You have to. You have to. You have to. The better version of yourself, of everybody involved, is on the other side of the hardest conversations. Right? And I say that because the key about this movie that really made it interesting to me is that none of these people were world legends yet. We all know them right now as world legends, but at the point that they're having this, at the point that they conversating, February 25th, 1964, they are not world figures. They are not legendary yet. And they're struggling with the decisions they have to make that are eventually going to get them there. Whether it's painfully or gloriously or painfully gloriously, the decisions they're going to have to make right after this, right? And I think it's key for black men to see this, because these kind of conversations are vital for us to make big, pertinent decisions. Sometimes they're sacrificial, sometimes they're life-changing, sometimes they're world-changing. But we need, when they say we need representation on screen, this type of representation, wow, this is what we need. I think it's also key. I just had this conversation with my wife that I love the fact that this movie had a lot of similarities to Ma Rainey's Black Bottom that came out on Netflix just a few weeks ago. It's Chadwick Boseman's last role before he sadly passed away. A lot of things similar. You're talking about black voices, mostly black male voices, in this strong tug of war. You trapped in one setting. You can't get away. I can't stress this enough. You can't run away. You're trapped in this setting and you got to hash it out. You got to hash it out. Sometimes it's painful, but you got to hash it out. And everybody is speaking from their perspective of what they believe is important. They want their experience to be heard and validated. Ma Rainey's Black Bottom is really interesting. It's based on August Wilson's play of the same name, and it really it allows every aspect, every significant aspect of black culture from the 1920s to speak and to have it out, to conversate. It's not the most pleasant movie to watch. It's not all smiles and hee and giggles. It's not the kind of movie that you're gonna walk away from feeling, I feel great, racism's going away. It's not that. But It's real, it's raw, and it's necessary. One Night in Miami is very similar. You have these very significant black voices and opinions and stances. These are representations of us. Cassius Clay is speaking for a significant portion of the black people. So is Jim Brown, so is Malcolm X, and so is Sam Cooke. We can relate. And most of us, if you're anything like me, you can relate to all four of them at the same time. Lovely movie. I mean, they've tied in certain technical aspects, like with Malcolm being paranoid and being followed, not only by the FBI, but also not trusting the Nation of Islam. There's some significant things like the British invasion coming in and being discussed. Sam Cooke, I mentioned earlier I was going to talk about the Cleveland connections. Sam Cooke got a chance to talk about his proteges, the Womacs and Bobby Womack, and them writing music that they sold to the Rolling Stones. And also, come on, how are we going to ignore the Cleveland connection with my man Jim Brown, who was playing for the Cleveland Browns at the time, and eventually stepped away from them to get into movies. Listen, I could go on and on for days about this movie, but you know what the Big Bro Show is all about. It's all about, let's sit down and let's talk it out as a family so we can get to some healing. Well, this right here is a movie that shows you what it looks like. It shows you what it looks like. It shows you exactly what it looked like. To sit down. Don't run. We gotta work this out. We gotta work this out. If we love each other, this is what, they call it. Some movies, it's like, this is a love movie, and it's always like some kind of romantic love story. This movie's a love movie. All four of those dudes loved each other. You could see it. And they showed it by how they acted and walked out of there. So watch this. I can't recommend it enough, man. Stay tuned for more content, more show. I love y'all. Stay tuned for more on the Big Bro Show 1.